Hi, my name is Ashwani Kumar. In this video, we are going to see the concept that is regarding the Hall effect. Okay. So while coming to the Hall effect, it was discovered by the Edwin Hall in 1879. So he is a scientist which is named as Edwin Hall. And so before going into the Hall effect, first of all, we have to know the two concepts. The first concept is force acting on an electron in an electric field. That means if an electric field is considered, and if I kept an electron into the electric field, and that electron starts moving towards the positive, so that means some force is acting on that one electron. So here, if I am taking a two plates like this, if it is connected to positive terminal and if it is connected to the negative terminal, then this plate 1 becomes the positively charged and plate 2 becomes the negatively charged. Let's take it is a V. It is a potential difference applied between both these two plates, and the distance between the both these two plates is considered as a D. And here the condition is that the cross-sectional area of both these two plates must be less than the distance between both these two plates. Okay, then only the electric field is going to be exist in between both these two. So now this plate is the positive polarity and this plate is a negative polarity. So due to the existence of these electric dipoles, electric flux lines start flowing from positive to negative. Okay, so due to the presence of these electric flux lines, then certain amount of electric field intensity is going to exist in between both these two plates. So that electric field intensity, that is capital E, can be given as a V divided by D, nothing but a potential difference divided by distance between these two plates. So now the electric field intensity that is happening in between both these two plates due to the existence of these electric flux lines is directly proportional to the potential difference applied and is inversely proportional to the distance between the two plates. That means if I am increasing the distance, then automatically electric field is going to be reduced. So in such an electric field, if an electron is located at this point, let's take it as an electron. Now all of you know that electron is having the negative charge. So due to its negative charge, it starts moving towards the positive plate. Why? Because it is attracted towards the positive polarity. That means the electron starts moving towards the top side, which is towards the positive polarity of the plate. So now electric flux lines are flowing from top to bottom, but the electron is moving from bottom to top. That means the force acting on this electron is in the upward direction. Okay, so now the force acting on this electron in this electric field, that is F, can be given as a minus E into capital E, where E is nothing but a charge of an electron and capital E is nothing but a electric field intensity in between both these two plates. And while coming to the negative, why we are taking negative polarity? Because see, here electric field is existing from positive to negative, but the force is from negative to positive. So that means both these F and E are in opposite direction. That's why I'm taking the negative sign here. So the conclusion of this one is force acting on an electron in an electric field, that is F, can be taken as a minus E small e into capital E. So first mind this concept, and next we are going to the next slide, that is force acting on an electron in a magnetic field. So while coming to the magnetic field, see, if my magnetic field, if I am taking this direction axis like this, so generally it is a y-axis and it is a x-axis, it is a z-axis. So if the magnetic field is flowing in the positive y direction, okay, and next if the electron is flowing in this direction, that means if the electron is flowing in the direction of x-axis and magnetic field is in the y-axis. Now this electron, the force acts on this electron towards this side. Okay, so towards this side means it can be taken as a z-axis. Okay, towards this side. That means x, y, z, all these three are perpendicular to each other. That means here the magnetic field is perpendicular to the electron direction, and the force acting on an electron due to this magnetic field is also perpendicular to both the electron movement and the magnetic field direction. So that means this formula can be exactly given as a force acting on an electron in a magnetic field can be given as a E of V cross B. That means why we are taking here cross multiplication, because both the velocity of the electron, okay, and the magnetic field, both these two are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so that's why we are taking as a V cross B. So it is the force acting on an electron if it is in the magnetic field, but in the magnetic field the electron moves in a circular direction. See here, it's in a circular direction, or sometimes it moves in a helical direction also in the magnetic field. Okay, so it is a concept regarding the force acting on an electron in the magnetic field. So at the conclusion of this one, now while coming to the Lorentz force, okay, so Lorentz force is nothing but the total force acting on an electron. That means if an electron is present in both the electric field and magnetic field, then the force acting on this electron is due to both electric field and also as well as the magnetic field. So as we already discussed in the previous slides, that the force acting on an electron due to the electric field can be given as a minus E into capital E, and force acting on an electron due to the magnetic field can be given as a V cross B. That means both these two are perpendicular to each other. So both summation of both these two, okay, so summation of both these two can be taken as a Lorentz force. So this term is due to the electric force and this term is due to the magnetic force. The combination of both these two can be taken as a Lorentz force. Now, so while coming to the Hall effect, that means whatever the concepts we discussed earlier, all these concepts are very much essential to discuss about the Hall effect. Okay, so the definition of the Hall effect is the production of a potential difference across an electrical conductor, or also we also take as across an electrical conductor or semiconductor. Okay, when a magnetic field is applied in a direction perpendicular to that of the flow of current. Okay, so what it means is that y, x and z. Okay, so if I took any one specimen here, then what happens here is that if the y, if the y is the axis, let's take, I will say about this one, and if the current is flowing in the x-axis direction, and if I apply the magnetic field in the z-axis direction, that means the current flowing through this material. Okay, let's take whether it might be the metal or semiconductor. The current flowing through this material is in the x-axis and the applied magnetic field to this material is in the z-axis. Now all the electrons in this material starts pushing towards the bottom surface of the material. Okay, so now pushing the bottom surface means all the electrons are moving in the negative y direction. So negative y direction means here the direction of the electrons is in perpendicular to both the magnetic field and current direction. So if all the electrons are pushed towards the bottom surface, then this specimen just looks like all the electrons are going to be existed at the bottom side. So now this surface becomes, let's take it is a surface 2 and it is a surface 1. So now surface 2 becomes more negative and surface 1 becomes more positive. Okay, so it is a concept. So if positive and negative is existing at both these two surfaces, then inside this specimen or inside this material certain voltage will be induced. That voltage is called as a Hall voltage. Okay, so that we are going to see. So that is the concept given, the production of a potential difference across an electrical conductor. So it is a potential difference. Okay, the potential difference between the surface 1 and surface 2 is nothing but a potential difference. Okay, and that happens due to when a magnetic field is applied in direction perpendicular to the flow of current. Okay, that means if the flow of current is in the x-axis and the magnetic field is applied in the z-axis, now all the electrons in this material starts pushing towards the bottom surface. Now the bottom surface is having the huge number of electrons, so it becomes a negative and it becomes a positive. So due to the existence of these dipoles, then in between the surface 1 and surface 2, certain potential difference will be existed, and that potential difference is called as a Hall voltage. That we will see clearly in the next slides. Now, so when electrons are flowing without magnetic field, so if the magnetic field is not there, now all the electrons are directly moving through the specimen in this direction. Okay, so we know that if the electrons are moving, so in this case electrons are moving in the minus x-axis direction. So if the electrons are moving in the minus x-axis direction, then automatically current moves in the positive x-axis direction. But because electron movement direction and current movement direction, both these two are in opposite. If the electrons are moving like this, then the current will be in this direction, that is opposite to that one. So that one is showed in the slide. And the next one is When the magnetic field is turned on, then what happens in the specimen is that, see here, as I said in the previous slide, that in the x-axis direction my current is there, and in the z-axis direction, okay, that means if I draw the axis like this, it is the y and it is the x and it is the z. So here the x-axis direction current is there, and in the z-axis direction magnetic field is there. Okay, if it is the case, then as I said that all the electrons flowing through the specimen starts pushing towards the bottom surface of this specimen that I am going to showing here. Okay, so all the electrons starts pushing towards the bottom surface. Then after certain amount of time, what happens is that certain equilibrium state will be existed. So equilibrium state means, as I said, that if all the electrons are started pushing towards the bottom surface, then certain amount of potential is developed. That means this surface becomes a positive and this bottom surface becomes a negative. So due to this potential difference, as we said, that this electron slowly starts moving towards upwards. Why these electrons are moving towards upward? Because as in the first slide we discussed about the force acting on an electron in the electric field. Why? Because this electron is having a negative charge and it starts attracted towards the positive surface. That means this electron slowly starts moving towards the upward. But at a equilibrium condition, that means here the magnetic field, due to the upward magnetic field in the z-axis, all the electrons are pushing towards the surface number 2, and after pushing the surface number 2, the surface becomes a positive and surface 2 becomes the negative. So due to this one, inside the specimen certain potential difference is going to be existed, that as I said that it's a Hall voltage, and this Hall voltage makes the electron starts moving towards the positive surface, that is the first surface, and this electron starts moving. So here on this electron, two types of forces are going to be acted. The downward force is the BQV and the topward force is the E into E. So whenever both these two forces are equal, then the electron is going to stay there exactly. That means it's not going to move in the bottom side and it's not going to move in the top side. It is going to maintain the equilibrium state. So that is the condition of this equilibrium state. That means the force acting on this electron, that is equal to minus EE when it is in the electric field, as we discussed in the previous video, that E becomes equal to BQV. Okay, it is a force acting on an electron due to the electric field and it is a force acting on an electron due to the magnetic field. Whenever both these two are equal, then it is called as a equilibrium condition. Then this electron is not going to move upward and it will not move towards the downward. It simply maintains at this place. Okay, it's called as a equilibrium position. So now we will see the derivation of this Hall voltage, okay, or Hall potential that existed due to this positive of the surface number 1 and the negativity of the surface number 2. So in the equilibrium condition, as I said, that the force due to the electric field is minus E into E, and the force due to the magnetic field can be taken as BQV. Okay, so here V is the velocity of an electron, and it is the charge of an electron, and it is the magnetic field intensity. Okay, and it is the charge of the electron, and it is the electric field intensity. So in the equilibrium conditions, both these two are same. It is minus E into E is equal to BQV, and this electric field intensity is happening due to the Hall effect. So that's why I can take this one as a minus E into capital E suffix H. That means electric field intensity that happened due to the Hall effect is equal to BQV. That implies, so here in the previous slide I didn't mention the negative, but here I mentioned the negative. Okay, don't worry about this negative sign. This negative sign doesn't affect the magnitude of the force. This negative sign only represents the electric field direction is from positive to negative, but the electron, the force acting on an electron is from negative to positive. So to represent both these two directions are in opposite, that's why I'm putting the negative. It doesn't affect the magnitude, so don't worry about that one. And now minus E. And in the previous video we discussed that electric field intensity can be given as a Vh by d, that is the potential difference between the two plates divided by distance between the two plates. So if I substitute here, it becomes equal to Vh by d. Vh is nothing but Hall voltage or Hall potential difference, that is equal to BQV. That is it, that implies Vh can be taken as a BQV divided by small e. Both these two, Q and E, both these two representations of the charge of an electron, so I can cancel both these two. So now I got Vh is equal to minus B into V into D. Okay. So now I got the Hall voltage or Hall potential is equal to minus B into V into, it is a velocity. Okay, don't get confused, it's a potential, it's a velocity. So I'm representing the velocity as a V like this and potential difference as a capital V like this. Okay, don't get difference, so don't get confused. So now I got BH is equal, Hall potential is equal to minus B into V into D. Okay, and next. So while coming to the current density, some other concept, current density is nothing but the amount of current per unit area, that can be taken as J is equal to I by A. Okay, and here while coming to the specimen, the area can be taken as a width into thickness. Okay, that is W into D. W into D means if I take a specimen like this, okay, if I take a specimen like this, then from here to here it is the width, and from here to here it is the thickness or distance, whatever you say. Why? Because in my specimen it is the surface number one, that is the top surface, and it is the bottom surface. Okay, so if it is a metal, then all the electrons are going to push towards the surface number 2. Okay, then here the surface number 2 becomes a minus and surface number 1 becomes a plus, as I said in the previous slide. Okay, so due to this existence of electric dipole inside the specimen, then I will get some electric field intensity that is called as a E suffix H, and this electric field intensity makes the electron to move towards the positive surface or the top one surface of the specimen. Okay, so that is the case. That means the electric field is pushing the electron or forces the electron to move towards the up direction, and this magnetic field is pushing the electron to move towards the down direction. Okay, so if both these two are equal, that means if both these two forces are equal, then this condition is called as an equilibrium condition. So from that condition I started here. Okay, as I said from the previous slide. So now finally I got the J as a I divided by W into D, where W is the width and D is the distance between both these two surfaces, or you can also take the thickness of this specimen. Next, there is also one formula is there to the current density. J is equal to rho into V, that is the charge density into velocity. Okay, so from this case the velocity can be taken as a J divided by charge density. So I'm substituting this formula, that is V is equal to J divided by rho here, then VH becomes equal to minus B J by rho into T. Okay, and that is equal to minus B into, here I got J as a I divided by W into D, right? So I am writing here I by W into D. Okay, J is written as I by W into D, and already into rho is there, so into rho into D. Okay, so both these two, thickness of the specimen or distance between the surface 1 and surface 2, will be cancelled. Now I will get VH as a minus B into I divided by rho into W. So it is the Hall voltage or Hall potential expression. Okay, minus Bi divided by rho W. Or if you want the magnitude, okay, that means if you want only the magnitude to the Hall potential, then I will get as a Bi divided by rho into W. Okay, so it is the expression for the Hall potential. So this expression is very helpful in the GATE exam to find out the Hall potential or the magnetic field intensity or the current flowing through the specimen or the charge density or the width of the specimen. While coming to the charge of the density, rho can be taken as a N into Q. Okay, that means number of electrons or the number of charge carriers is the N, and Q is the charge of the charge carrier. Okay, if it is a hole, then charge of the hole. If it is an electron, then charge of an electron. Okay, so it is the charge density. So in this Hall effect, the one more word is there, that is the Hall coefficient. Okay, so Hall coefficient can be represented as R suffix h, and this Hall coefficient is a reciprocal of the charge density. Okay, RH is equal to 1 divided by rho, or it can be taken as a rho can be taken as a n into q. So Hall coefficient is a reciprocal of the charge density, and from the previous slide I got that Hall potential is equal to Bi divided by rho W. Okay, and it can be written as 1 by rho into Bi divided by W, where 1 by rho is nothing but reciprocal of the charge density can be taken as a Hall coefficient. Then it can be written as RH into Bi divided by W. Okay, so it is also one of the expression to the Hall potential, that is VH is equal to RH into Bi divided by W. So you have to note down this Hall voltage also. Why? Because this expression is also helpful to find out the gate problems that regarding this Hall effect. Okay, and note it down. RH is a Hall coefficient. Okay, fine. Next up, see from this one, the number of charge carriers, that is n, can be written as a from this expression. Okay, take down here. I have written that RH is equal to 1 by rho, that is 1 by n cube, and n can be taken as a 1 divided by RH into q. Okay, so n divided by RH into q, that means here the number of charge carriers present in the specimen, that is equal to reciprocal of the Hall coefficient and the charge of the charge carrier. So by this Hall effect we can able to find out the concentration of charge carriers in the specimen also. Okay, so it is a one of the concept. And one more thing is, so you have to note down this one also. And one more thing is that we know that conductivity, okay, conductivity of a metal, sigma can be given as a n q mu. So it is a formula to the conductivity. Okay, n q mu, where n q, as I said, that n q is nothing but a charge density. Okay, charge density into mu. Mu is the mobility of the charge carrier. So from this one, we can take that charge density can be written as a sigma by mu, that is conductivity by mobility. And while coming to the Hall coefficient, that is RH, can be taken as a reciprocal of the charge density, that is mu by sigma. Okay, so from this one, and from this one, mobility can be given as a sigma into Hall coefficient. So it is also the one of the important formula you have to remember or remind at the time of gate examination regarding the Hall effect problems. Okay, so finally from this one, if I can find out that with the help of Hall effect, we can find the Hall potential, that is the VH. And here one more thing is that if VH is negative, okay, if VH is negative, then the surface, I mean the specimen, it can be called as a n-type semiconductor. Okay, if VH is positive, then we can say that the specimen is a p-type semiconductor. Okay, that means if the Hall voltage is negative, then the given specimen is a n-type, and if the Hall voltage is positive, then the given specimen is a p-type semiconductor. That means with the help of the polarity of this Hall voltage, we can find the type of the extrinsic semiconductor. That is one of the major application of this Hall effect. And second application is that we can find the charge carrier concentration of the specimen. And the third one is that we can find the mobility of the charge carriers, those are present in the specimen. So all these are the different types of applications to the Hall voltage. So these applications are very important while coming to the IES, Indian Engineering Examination of the ENT, Electronics and Telecommunication branch. Okay. So while coming to the first problem regarding the Hall effect, here a sample of silicon is doped with 10 power 17 phosphorus atoms. Find the Hall voltage if the sample has 100 micrometer thickness, and the current in x-axis is 1 milliampere, and the magnetic field intensity in z-axis is 10 power minus 5 Weber per meter square. Okay, so While coming to this 10 power 17 phosphorus atoms means generally these are the pentavalent atoms. Okay, pentavalent atoms, or we can also call this one as a donor impurity atoms. So donor impurity atoms is given as Nd is equal to 10 power 17, that we can take as a number of charge carriers in the n-type extrinsic semiconductor, or else it is can be taken as a charge carrier concentration in the n-type extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, next term. So he is asking to find out the Hall voltage. So before going to the Hall voltage, first we will write down the given data. Okay, so given data is first one Nd, or that means donor impurities, or the concentration of charge carriers is 10 power 17 per centimeter cube, and thickness. Okay, thickness is 100 micrometers. So let's take thickness. The second data is thickness I am representing with the D. The thickness is 100 micrometers. So 100 micrometers means 10 power minus 6 meters. And while coming to the third data is the current flowing through the x-axis is 1 milliampere. And the one more data given is magnetic field intensity along the z-axis is 10 power minus 5 Weber per meter square. Okay, so if you understand here, all the things are given in the form of meters. See, thickness is in the meters, and magnetic field intensity Weber per meter square. But while coming to the charge carrier concentration, that is given as 10 power 17 atoms per centimeter cube. Okay, so I have to represent this one also in the meter cube. Why? Because here all the things are represented in the meters, so we have to represent this one also per meter cube. We know that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter, and 1 centimeter is equal to 10 power minus 2 meters. So here in the case of this one, 10 power 17 atoms per, in the place of centimeter I have to write 10 power minus 2 meters. Okay, I will get like this. This one I will get the meter cube. Okay, so now it becomes as a 10 power minus 6. So it becomes as a 10 power 7 atoms per 10 power minus 6 meter cube. So if I bring this 10 power minus 6 to the upside, then I will get 10 power 17 plus 10 power 6, that becomes equal to 23. Okay, 10 power 23 atoms per meter cube. Is it clear? So finally it is a given data. That means a given in the 10 power 17 atoms per centimeter cube, and we have to convert this one into 10 to the power of atoms per meter cube. So as we know that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 power minus 2 meters. So in the place of centimeter I substitute 10 power minus 2 meters, and becomes as a meter cube. Here it becomes as 10 power minus 6. If I bring this 10 power minus 6 to the numerator, then I will get 10 power 17 plus 6, that becomes equal to 10 power 23 atoms per meter cube. Now everything is in the meter cube. See, the data A is in 10 power 23 atoms per meter cube, and the distance, that means the thickness is in 100 micrometers, and the magnetic field intensity is also in the Weber per meter square. So now the every data is in the meters. So you have to convert like this. If the every data is represented in the centimeters, then you have to convert into centimeters. Okay, so it is a very most important thing regarding the units. Now while coming to the Hall voltage, formula is Bi divided by rho into W. Okay, this W can also be taken as a width or thickness. Okay, so now here it becomes equal to, where the B is nothing but magnetic field intensity, that is 10 to the power of minus 5, into the current is given here is, that is 10 to the power of minus 3, divided by, where rho is nothing but a charge density. That charge density, that is rho, can be taken as a n into q, where n is the charge carrier concentration. That is here I got as a 10 to the power of 23 atoms per meter cube. So here I am taking 10 to the power of 23 into, and q is the charge of the electron, that is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19, into here width is nothing but 100 into 10 power minus 6, that becomes equal to 10 power minus 4 meters. So 10 power minus 4. Okay, so it is a concept. So if we are solving here, the numerator becomes 10 power minus 8 divided by, and here 10 power minus 19 and 10 power minus 4, that becomes as a 10 power minus 23. Sorry, So 10 power minus 23 means both these two gets cancelled with 10 power plus 23. In the denominator I will get as a 1.6. Okay, so now it becomes as 1 divided by 1.6 into 10, that is equal to 0.625 into 10 to the power of minus 8 volts. Okay, so it is my VH. So now I got the Hall voltage as 0.625 into 10 to the power of minus 8. It can be taken as a 0.0625 micro volts. Okay, so this much of Hall voltage we are going to get for the Ix is equal to 1 milliampere and magnetic field intensity 10 to the power of minus 5 Weber per meter square, and for thickness of 10 to the power of 100 micrometers, and for 10 power 17 atoms per centimeters cube. Okay, it is a way of solving such type of problem. Okay, next we will see the next problem. So it is the second one. So this one repeated silicon semiconductor bar with resistivity. Okay, that means they given the resistivity rho. Okay, so here rho is a symbol for resistivity, so that I am representing here inside the bracket, that is the resistivity. Because later we are going to get the rho notation for the charge density also. Okay, also for the charge density also we are going to get the rho, so don't get confused between the resistivity and for the charge density. Okay, so I'm representing the charge density rho as a rho of C and the resistivity as a rho of R. Okay, so now the rho of R is given as 3 into 1 2 3 4 5. So 3 into 10 to the power of 5 ohm centimeter is placed in a transverse magnetic field of 0.1 Weber per meter square. That means B is given as 0.1 Weber per meter square, and the distance or width, okay, distance or width, that becomes equal to 6 millimeter. That means 6 into 10 power minus 3 meters. Next, if the measured value of current flowing through the Hall voltage are 10 microamperes and 60 millivolts, that means it is the current, that is current flowing through the semiconductor is 10 microamperes and the Hall voltage is given as 60 millivolts, and he is asking to find the mobility of the holes. Okay, that is mu p. He is asking the mu p. Next, so with the help of this given data, so first if you observe here, all the things are in meters, and here it's in a millivolts. Okay, so apart from this one, B and D, both these two are represented in meters, so you have to convert this resistivity also ohm meter. Okay, so ohm meter means generally represented in the centimeter. So as we discussed in the previous video that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter, that implies 1 centimeter is equal to 10 to the power of minus 2 meter. So that means here I can take this, I can convert this one as a 3 into 10 to the power of 5 ohm meter into 10 power minus 2. That means in the place of centimeter I wrote as a 10 power minus 2 meters. Okay, now it can be taken as a 3 into 10 power, here 5 and minus 2 is there, that becomes ohm meter. So it is my resistivity. Okay, so the resistivity of the semiconductor bar is 3 into 10 power 3 ohm meter. Clear? Next, so he is asking to find out the mobility of the holes. Okay, as we already know that sigma, that is conductivity, is equal to charge density into mu. Okay, so it's a charge density. As I previously said that I am writing charge density as a rho of C into a rho of C. So the conductivity can be taken as a charge density into mu, and this implies 1 divided by resistivity. Why? Because conductivity is nothing but reciprocal of the resistivity into mu. So from this case I will get mu. Okay, that is mobility can be given as, I am taking this mobility here. So 1 divided by mobility is equal to charge density into resistivity. So that implies mu can be given as 1 divided by charge density into resistivity. Clear? So it is a formula I will get for the mobility condition. Okay, next. So while coming to the mu is equal to 1 divided by, here charge density is charge density can be given as a n into q. Okay, it is a charge density into, and it is a resistivity. So resistivity is already there, that is 3 into 10 power 3. 3 into 10 power 3. Okay, so mu is equal to, I got as a charge density into, it is a charge density, it is a resistivity. So here I am directly representing here as NQ. I told that it's a charge density, so I am representing this one like this, into 3 into 10 power 3. Okay, so let it be the equation number 1. And next we will go to the Hall voltage formula, that is VH is equal to BI divided by rho into W. So that implies here rho is nothing but a charge density, so the charge density can be taken as a BA divided by VH into W. Okay, that is equal to, where B is the 0.1 into, and I is the 10 micro, that is 10 into 10 power minus 6 whole divided by, here VH is the Hall voltage, that is 60 into 10 power minus 3, 60 into 10 power minus 3 into, where W is the width, and that is given as a 6 into 10 power minus 3. So 6 into 10 power minus 3. So if you're solving this one, what happens is that it is a 10 power minus 1, it is 10 power minus 6, that means 10 power minus 7, and here 10 power 1 is there, that means 10 power minus 6 divided by 10 power minus 3, and here 10 power minus 3. Okay, so what happens here is that, and here 60 into 6, that is 360 into 10 power minus 6. So both these two 10 power minus 6 gets cancelled, and 1 divided by 360. So I am taking here as a 1 divided by 360. Okay, so now my charge density is 1 divided by 360, and let's substitute here 1 divided by 360 here. Now my mobility becomes 360 divided by 3 into 10 power 3. So here if I get cancelled, 120 into 10 power minus 3. Okay, so finally my mobility becomes is equal to 120 millimeter square by volt second. Okay, the units to the mobility is meter square by volt second. So I got 120 millimeter square per volt second. So it is a mobility. So it is a way of solving such type of problems. Okay, so please note on whatever the concepts you require. And if you're not directly understanding these problems, I am just providing the Hall effect concept links in the description box of this video. You first go to that link and study and note about the concepts of the Hall effect, and then come to this problem. You will understand very clearly. Okay, so please subscribe my channel. If you like this one, give me one like and share to your friends and GATE aspirants. If you're having any doubts regarding this one, mention your queries in the comment box. Thank you.